We're grateful to share our love of vintage toys, games, books, and comics with you. If you're enjoying the journey, please like and subscribe. Your support helps us keep the channel growing. Thank you for being part of the RetroCult. Greetings, RetroCultists. In this video, we're doing an end-of-the-month haul review just to look at some of the treasures we found while out and about during the month of August. We're going to start first with a few that we found at Edward McKay's. It's a used bookstore chain here in the Southeast. We have one in my hometown of Winston-Salem. And so we're going to start with a few of those. First, this was one I don't really need the DVD. It looked like it was a Walmart exclusive. I don't remember seeing this when they first came out, but I'm certainly happy to pay 95 cents for it just to get the enamel pins of the Justice League characters. I have a board going, a cork board going with enamel pins that I collect, and so this was a nice little find. The DVD, that's I guess a little bonus. We'll probably put that in a giveaway bag at some point. Next, found a couple of sci-fi novels. Not familiar with, but I'm looking forward to reading this one, Tower by Lawrence M. Janifer. Mainly the thing that attracted me, as so often happens, is the cover. That painted art on the cover is just amazing. Next, copy of Harry Harrison's Homeworld. Have a few Harry Harrison books, some of his Stainless Steel Rat series. Not familiar with this one, but looking forward to reading it. Another Daw Yellow Spine for my collection. Not in great shape, but it'll do until I can eventually go through the collection and get a better copy. But The Man with 1,000 Names. There's the description if you want to pause and read that. And then Robert A. Heinlein, Glory Road. I've been a big Heinlein fan since my youth. Really enjoyed Starship Troopers, Stranger in a Strange Land. Have never read Glory Road, but interested to read that. Next, we found a Corgi die-cast Batmobile. This is the Batmobile designed by Norm Brayfogle in the 90s, which I will say very upfront, that's my favorite Batmobile. Norm Brayfogle's run on Detective Comics and later Batman in the late 1980s and early 1990s. If you've never read them, go seek them out. They're some of the best Batman comics. His art, along with I believe Steve Englehart. I might be wrong about the writer, but the stories in those comics and his art. Oh, he's one of the most dynamic artists. Unfortunately, he's passed in recent years, and so he will be missed. But he's definitely, he kind of defined the look of Batman in the 90s, and his Batmobile is a classic. Next, I don't normally buy a lot of loose action figures at McKay's, just because most of the time I don't run across a lot that are that interest me or they're just very common. This one caught my attention. This is the Golden Age Atom, or one version of the Golden Age Atom. This figure was made by DC Direct, probably in the late 90s. It was actually a 2-pack, and it was 2 different versions of the Golden Age Atom. In this one, it just has that classic Golden Age where colors don't matter, just, yellow, red, blue, throw a cape and a mask on, now you got yourself a superhero. It's got that look about it, and I love it. So for $3.95, that was a must-have. Then this one, I loved color forms as a kid. This I didn't even really. I mean, obviously, I probably wasn't buying color forms when this came out. This was, I believe, yeah, this was released in 2003. So I probably wasn't buying on the lookout for color forms at that time. Uh, but I didn't even realize color forms went on that long. I thought color forms went the way of the dodo in the at least early 90s, if not the 80s. But nope, apparently they still made them. They might still make them today. I don't see them very often, other than the retro sets that appeal to old guys like me. But for $8.95, I mean, it was a little more than I really wanted to pay for it. But it's the subject matter is right up my alley with the animated Justice League series. I will say the box art isn't as cool as I remember the old sets when I was a kid. Just I don't know, a little more corporate. But all in all, still happy to find it, still sealed. So that was definitely a nice find. Now the next thing we're going to look at are some comics that I found at Cooper's Vintage Village. We did a video about a month ago on Cooper's Vintage Village. Please go check out the video. I'll include a link to it in the description. But we had a chance to go back there recently and checked out the comic book dealer there. He always has a great selection for great prices. These were all in the $3 box. Just a nice assortment of Bronze Age DC, Tarzan of the Apes, number 257, in great condition. Then the Secret Society of Supervillains, number 10. This is one I had actually seen when I was there earlier and regretted leaving. The Giant Size Conan the Barbarian, number 3. Thankfully it was still there. Unfortunately, I also left the Giant Size Man thing there that I regret leaving, and unfortunately it was gone. So see, it just shows you, if you see it, you better get it if you want it. Might not be there tomorrow. Another Marvel Age, number 81. So that collection is coming along nicely. World of Krypton, number 3. Love the Ross Andru, Dick Giordano cover. Another World of Krypton, number 2. This one I couldn't pass. I remember this comic from the 80s. I don't think I ever read it. I'm pretty sure I didn't. I have no recollection of reading it. But Obnoxio the Clown versus the X-Men, number 1. Not from... I really... We might do a deeper dive on this one in another video. Just who is Obnoxio the Clown. He looks ridiculous, but, it's kind of got a serious cover going on, implying that Kitty Pryde is dead. But great cover. Just nice Bronze Age or late Bronze Age Marvel. Then I picked up a nice run of New Mutants, 31, 32, 27, 28. I guess I should have sorted these before I started shooting, but yeah, so we got 27, 28, 31, 32. These early, I guess this is not necessarily early New Mutants, but I remember these. I was never a big New Mutants reader. I think I had a few issues that I traded with friends in school, but the Bill Sienkiewicz covers, yeah, they make these must-haves. Then Marvel Spotlight number 9, featuring Captain Universe. If you're a Spider-Man fan, that name sounds familiar because during Eric Larson's run on Spider-Man in the 80s, Spider-Man at one point obtained the powers of Captain Universe, which made him a cosmic level hero. That was a great story. Then Spider-Woman, Another sorting situation. Sorry about that. Oh, a couple more New Mutants. I didn't do a very good job of prepping for this video. Sorry about that. So we also got 29 and 30. So we got a nice little run of New Mutants there. But we have, Spider-Woman number 12, number 28, and 44. Next up, I have some comics found at Sailfish Comics in Greensboro, North Carolina. Great comic book store. The staff is super friendly there. So if you're ever over on Wendover Avenue in Greensboro, North Carolina, check out Sailfish Comics. But always excited to find this, and we were actually looking for some G.I. Joe comics when I found this little run of G.I. Combats. Now, when I was a kid, besides superheroes, one of the other things that fascinated me were military vehicles, and I was into model kits. And because of that, as kind of a crossover, I love the G.I. Combat comics. Most of the stories are set during World War II, featuring the Haunted Tank, which was at first a M3 Stuart and later became an M4 Sherman tank as the war progressed. These stories are just a blast. So if you're interested in any war comics with a little supernatural bent, check out G.I. Combat featuring the Haunted Tank. They would sometimes have multiple stories, as you can see in these big war books. These all seem to be focused on the Haunted Tank, but you would occasionally get stories that didn't feature the Haunted Tank and weren't necessarily set in World War II. They could be set in the Korean War, World War I, even a few I do seem to remember set during the Vietnam War. So if you're interested in any war comics, I can't recommend G.I. Combat enough. Great artwork, great stories. So we found a small little vein of these at Sailfish and they made a very good deal. The prices they were asking were, I feel, reasonable, but they made us an even better deal just for buying all of them. But we have issue 202, 220, 225, 235, 244, 250, 265. See, look at those covers. They just grab your attention. And, well, what is that one? 267. Oh, yeah. How could you see that on a newsstand rack and not want to buy it and read that story? Guest artist Keith Giffen of Legion of Superheroes, too. Great. Anyway. Then the next batch of comics and books comes from Nerd Bombers, also in Greensboro, North Carolina. It's a great little, it's a vintage toy store, but they do sell vintage games, books, comics. They have everything to make a nerd happy. So if you're, again, in Greensboro, check out Sailfish for sure, and Nerd Bombers. Always fun to go there. Picked up a few comics out of their bins. Found a copy of Whitman's Mighty Samson. Got a little bit of a spine roll here, or actually I'm not even sure if it's a roll or just if it were stapled in production wrong, but you could see part of the, there's a little bit of a roll on it. But old Noah wakes up in a violent new world and decides to make it his. Have no clue what this is about. I mean, is it Noah from the Bible? Samson? Obviously, I'm assuming these are Bible stories, but then in the background, it looks like there's like a destroyed modern city. So I don't know if this is post-apocalyptic. This is one, yeah. If you're interested in content like this, yeah, let us know in the comments. We might do a deep dive into that book and see what that's all about. The next two books we found were Marvel's 1, and I believe this is 3. It was a 4-issue limited series in the 90s, fully painted interiors by Alex Ross, and it's a I believe Kurt Busiek wrote the stories, and it's a look. It's a reimagining, not a reimagining, maybe it's a look back at the origins of the Marvel Universe at that time, starting with the original Human Torch during World War II. And it's all looked at through, the everyman's eyes. Ben Urich, he's a reporter character for the Daily Bugle that's featured a lot in, I believe, even in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. He did show up in the Daredevil TV series, but he was a kind of recurring character in the Daredevil comics in the 80s and 90s. And this is kind of a retelling of him as the everyman, seeing the birth of the Marvel Universe. Well worth a read. I had a full run of these at one point. I think I traded them away at some point, and of course now, as usual, I want them again. So then some more Nerd Bomber finds. Marvel Team Up 136, Spider-Man and Wonder Man. I love all these Marvel Team Up books. I'd eventually like to maybe get a full run of Marvel Team Up, as well as Marvel 2-in-1, which was the same kind of format where you had the Thing from the Fantastic Four, and every issue he would team up with a different Marvel superhero. Of course, Marvel Team Up is Spider-Man teaming up with a different Marvel superhero every issue. And then the Lex Luthor, the unauthorized biography. This was a big deal when it came out in, I believe, 1988 or 89, because it kind of gives you Luthor's backstory. It was a really nice, kind of frame story for basically revamping Luthor's origin, because we had just come through Crisis on Infinite Earths. John Byrne had just started rebooting Superman and Man of Steel, and so they released this because Lex Luthor is no longer the mad scientist. Now he's he's a genius, evil billionaire, so businessman. So this was kind of the change in Lex Luthor that we're actually all now familiar with. That's kind of Lex Luthor. They have, kind of put back in that he is a scientific genius as well, but he's still the vision of Lex Luthor now, as we've seen in even the most recent Superman movie, is that he's really a businessman, and that's why he can obviously afford all of these gadgets to take on Superman. So anyway, interesting read. Eduardo Barreto art. Eduardo Barreto did the sequel to Gotham by Gaslight, which we'll be looking at as Halloween gets a little closer, because Gotham by Gaslight is probably my single favorite Batman story, and we'll also be having a look at the sequel. And then found a copy of Superman from the 30s to the 70s, published in the 70s. Yeah, 1971. I love finding things like these. Nice little black and white. Actually, a lot of times I feel like sometimes when you see the artwork in black and white, you really get a greater appreciation for the dynamism of the penciler, actually seeing the pencils and the action, and I feel that way definitely looking through this book, that Joe Shuster, his illustrations, very simple, but they're always moving, and I like that. And a lot of times you don't get that as much, or once you throw the colors on there, you lose a little bit of that. And here, just seeing it in stark black and white, it's a whole new experience. But anyway, I'm looking forward to reading some of these old Golden Age stories. Oh, there are some color ones in here as well. I always find it interesting why they do this, where you have the bulk of the book in black and white, and then you'll just throw a color one in there randomly. But it'll be great to revisit some of these old Superman stories. Then we also found some. This was a pure walk down memory lane. Dynamite magazine. Used to get these at the Scholastic book fairs when they would come to school. I had quite a stack of these as a kid. Unfortunately, I didn't find the one I was looking for, which there is an issue of Dynamite with Christopher Reeve as Superman on the cover, with a in-depth look at the Superman the movie. I must have read that one till it fell apart, so I was hoping to find that, but that one wasn't there, but we'll keep an eye out. But this one, my wife, I definitely had to get this for her. She's a huge Fonzie fan. She's really a Henry Winkler fan and loves him as the Fonz. So definitely had to grab that one. We all loved Dukes of Hazzard as a kid. So that was a must-have with the whole cast. I got this one for my son. He's a Beatles fan. So I thought he might be interested in reading an article on who's best, the Bee Gees versus the Beatles. I'm pretty sure I know his answer, but maybe they had a different one. Then Pizzazz. Do not remember Pizzazz. It was actually published by Marvel. Clearly, I think, is a competitor to Dynamite. But great cover with Spider-Man, the Fonz, the Hulk, Charlie's Angels on here. I'm gonna get a lot of guff in the comments, but I do not remember who that is. But he looks familiar. Is that Christy McNichol? Anyway, I think he was from these two are from the Hardy Boys mysteries from the 70s. Can't remember the actor's name. So be gentle. Oh, I remember these Spalding ads ran on the back of every Marvel comic. It seemed like it went on my entire childhood. It was probably only a year or so, but I remember those ads. Then another copy of Pizzazz, looking at the Hulk TV series. Loved that show as a kid. Buck Rogers, another issue of Dynamite. And then, of course, the best for last, the Star Wars cast shot on Dynamite. This one will definitely be getting framed and displayed on the wall somewhere. So the final two things I have are from another trip to McKay's. These were found for us by Crazy Soda Guy, Chuck, the co-founder of the channel. These Super Friends 2-packs from DC Direct. Just great representations of the figures. Nice Scarecrow. We both commented on our surprise that they didn't use the Joker, but realistically, I'm actually glad they didn't use the Joker. He gets a little overexposed these days, so it was nice to see Scarecrow, and that's terrifying. So yeah, and as you can see, it comes with a miniature of the Bat plane from the show. That's a very nice addition. And as you can see, there are the others. So now we'll be on the lookout for Superman and Lex Luthor, Wonder Woman and Cheetah, Green Lantern and Sinestro, and Robin and the Riddler. And you'll see why in a minute we're not looking for Aquaman, because that he also found that one. As great as the figures are, and they are great, these are great representations of the characters from the show. Some of the best I've ever seen. But the star of the show is the Manta's ship. That is just, you just don't see that a lot. I think McFarlane has recently produced a version of it, but that is just such a great, the Manta ship is awesome. Manta himself looks great. Classic Aquaman. Can't go wrong there. Here's a look at the back. So at some point this was priced $25. As you can see, McKay's got it for $12.95. That's a bargain we'll take every day. Well, that does it for this look at our haul from August. We hope you enjoyed it. Once again, thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.